With photo etching, what we need first is your photographic image on acetate. You can do this from printing off the computer onto acetate through the photocopier. We need a plate, so we can either use copper or perspex. Once we have the plate prepared, we take the wrist-on film, which is light sensitive, lay it over the plate and cut with a blade. Then we bring it back down and put it through the press to adhere the photosensitive film to the plate. Once that step is completed, we go back upstairs to the exposure unit, and then we take our image, which we place on the bed first, and then the plate goes on top. And then we close up our exposure unit. So once we have exposed the image on the plate in the exposure unit, we bring it in here and we mix some washing soda crystals with water. We then put the plate into the solution and agitate for 1 minute to develop it. What I tend to do is leave the plate to harden in natural light so that the wrist-on becomes fixed to the plate. We just start to ink up. So we use the squidgy to kind of glide the ink over the top. This is different than an intaglio plate because most of the image is just sitting on the surface, so you have to be quite delicate with it. So we just start from the center and work out to the edges. Sometimes if you work in from the edges, the wrist-on film can break. Just try not to put too much ink on because it just has to be cleaned off. We take the scrim and then just gently in circular motions work the ink into the surface of the plate. With photo etching, sometimes you have to be careful that you don't over wipe it and take too much ink off. But once you do it a couple of times, you kind of get used to the amount of ink that needs to be left on the surface. And then when it gets to this stage, I use tissue to kind of polish up the last of it. So you're trying to bring up the white areas. So the white areas will kind of tend to look a bit more blue, and that's the wrist-on film underneath. So the black ink stays in the area where you want your black, and the more whiter areas become blue. So once we have the plate ready, I've soaked this paper in water for about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. So we let the excess water drain off that first, and then when it's ready we put it in the blotters. So the blotters take the excess moisture because we don't want the paper to be too wet, it just has to be damp to touch. So that's our first proof from that plate. I might have overwiped a little bit in the middle, but so you can just see how delicate it is.